We could not talk or talk forever and still find things to not talk about.
The Disneyland Limited, now leaving for a grand circle tour of the Magic Kingdom. All passengers board.
Star Tours announces the boarding of the Endor Express. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the doors.
Please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the train and remain seated at all times. Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
I am Sam, the American Eagle, and I am proud to introduce the Grand Circle Tour podcast, a celebration of Disney parks, but mostly the American ones. I really like these guys.
Mac, Pooh.
You keep giving me to play with, dude.
What's that?
Oh my god. What the hell was that? It was my warm-up.
No, that was the start.
Is that what we're supposed to do? I didn't know that.
Everyone now.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, you don't have it. No, you don't. No, got it.
All right.
I got so many sound clips to play with now.
See, this is what happens when all us guys get on at
Yeah,
once.
all the time when it's the guys on. This is what happens. Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm gonna remix that.
Something for a SoundCloud.
Okay. I think we just crashed the server. Okay, here we go. Hey, passengers, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Grand Circle Tour podcast. And what a doozy this one's going to be. We have all the guys on tonight, so this should be very interesting. A couple weeks ago, we did an adventure with our top three underrated attractions. And I had to think there for a second, which one did we do? Was it under or over? But tonight we're going to do our top 3 overrated attractions. And joining me this evening, we'll start with Stan. Hey, Stan, how you doing?
Hey, George, how are you today?
I'm just swell.
That's good. I'm glad to see a smile on your face.
Yeah. And then we have our jungle skipper, Jay. Hey, Jay.
Aloha, George. So, passengers, what you don't know is I'm taking notes because so much has been cut out of this that you may or may not hear down the road.
Probably not.
Yeah,
not.
there's so much that was cut before this, passengers, that there's... And then bringing up the caboose is Dan, the main man.
Hello, George.
Passengers, what you really don't know is Dan did something horrible, unforgivable.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
But no, passengers, Dan and I have a really good friendship, but we also have a good rivalry that we just like to torture each other. No matter
Mostly
what.
rivalry.
Is that why you just called him the rear end on the podcast?
Exactly.
I caught that.
I think Dan's winning still. I'm sorry. I'm keeping score here, and I think Dan's up.
Wow, Stan's keeping score for our rivalry. Nice.
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to the dance-off when you guys meet in person. That's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, definitely. So, as I mentioned, passengers, it's going to be our top overrated attractions, our top 3. And so I hope you guys are ready for this. And I hope you didn't take any of mine, but so we shall see. So I'm actually going to go right down the line here. We'll start with you, Jay. What's one of your overrated Disney attractions?
And I'm gonna start this by saying I'm sorry, Stan. Don't take this personally, but number 3 on my list is Muppet Vision 3D.
Okay, that's it.
Killer. Let's end the show right now.
It's been nice knowing you guys.
No, I'm with you, Stan.
It's not because it's a great place to nap at Disney World or because I only watched it twice during the entire run at DCA. but I still want the Great Muppet Movie Ride, and this pales in comparison.
I don't know, man. It's a great attraction. It has everything. It has no lines.
It's a great place to take a nap if you really fall asleep and the cast member goes.
Theming, some of the best animatronics around, special effects, 3D. Like, man, this thing's got everything.
And talk about overrated. It's got one of the most underrated pre-shows out there.
Oh, absolutely. And Sweetums comes out and freaks everybody out. Oh
now,
no! Okay.
Stan, let me ask you: if they did,
I'm changing mine now. Hang on, I got to change. I got another one of Hollywood Studios that I got to write down. Hang on a second.
You wrote down Jungle Cruise on yours. Those are fighting words.
I think he's going Tower of Terror.
Stan, let me ask you now: if they did make a Great Muppet Movie Ride, would you see it differently? Is it more so because
then they would have 2 Muppet attractions at Hollywood Studios, which would be amazing.
I'm sorry, dude, but the Muppets present history in Liberty Square is so much more entertaining.
Well, that's awesome too, and so is the Beaker's Laboratory Mobile Lab is amazing.
Oh yeah,
too.
that's a good
Muppet. They need a Muppet Park. Come on, just get with
Muppet Park.
The Muppet just means the Muppets
all Muppets all the time.
Studio section at the studios where they have their own rides, their own thing, not just to show that it's a great place to put your feet up and take a nap when you get too hot.
Yeah, no, it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome to see more Muppets at the park. Absolutely.
That was very interesting, Jay. I wasn't actually expecting that one.
What's funny? When I was writing this list, I kept thinking, no one in my group is going to say Muppet.
Right out of the gate.
That's why I apologize right off the bat.
I have to be honest with you guys. I was like, as I'm writing them down, I'm like, wow, we're going to offend a lot of people on this episode because people are going to be very upset with some. We already had a fight amongst ourselves.
Thought of that while you were sitting on the beach?
That was 4 weeks ago. I sat on the beach and wrote the list for this episode. Today I spent another 4 hours at the beach rereading my list.
All right, Stan.
I wrote mine during a commercial break of America's Got Talent. That's what I wrote my list.
Stan,
everyone. Speaking of America's Got Talent, everyone vote for Luke from my hometown. By the way.
I'm sorry, who?
Luke.
Luke? What's his?
He's the Broadway singer kid.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's really good. I'm kind of rooting for him.
Yes. A good friend of mine is his singing coach.
Oh, awesome.
Well,
great.
Just for what you did to me before we started, Dan, I'm not voting. So Stan, what about you? What's one of your top overrated attractions?
Okay, I'm sorry, Jay, but I'm apologizing first. No, I'm going to start off by having. I'm going to disqualify myself for a lot of them because anything that spins, drops, or goes too fast, or anything like you can get sick on, I've never done. So I'm not going to pick anything I've never done because I feel I should have at least experienced it before I could judge whether or not it's overrated or underrated. Fair. That's going to be my preview. So Tower of Terror is safe from me saying it's overrated because I can't vote for it. It has an amazing queue. I will give it that.
Darn right it's safe from this list.
So I'm not going to pick Tower of Terror. But I'm going to go to Magic Kingdom. And the only reason, and I love this ride, it's a great attraction, but the queue line gets so long and I just don't get it. Like for Peter Pan's Flight, it is far too long of a queue for what the attraction is. Like I understand the appeal and it's one of the few I can actually ride. So that's why I like it. But I don't get the line. I don't understand. It's a constant moving attraction. It should move faster than it does, but at least they, up the game with the queue in that one as well.
I agree with you on that one because that was actually one of mine. I do love the attraction. If given the opportunity, I usually go the way that I am able to go on Peter Pan's Flight is always with a fast pass because every single time that I even try to go into the standby line, it's over like an hour plus wait. And for me, that's just not an attraction worth. I mean, nothing really is, but especially that one, I won't.
Well, that's just it. And then you try to get a fast pass for it. But in the meantime, you want to get a fast pass for Pirates. You want to get a fast pass for Haunted Mansion. You want to get these other fast passes that Peter Pan's on very high on your list to get a fast pass for.
That's usually true. I usually get a fast pass for Peter Pan's Flight when I go back to the Magic Kingdom because I usually do, on our trips, we do Magic Kingdom twice.
Mhm.
So usually the
Yeah,
second
like
day.
that you can. Yeah.
All right, and Dan, just so you know, I chose you last because I wanted to just see what everyone else had to say before you. And so that way you
Actually,
have
George, you chose yourself last,
Yeah,
which is a
I'm
good
surprised you're not going before me.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with one that everyone's probably going to say I'm just being, it's just because of my roots or whatever. But I'm going to go to Norway, and I'm going to go with the Frozen ride. And I'm going to explain why. Before everyone says, Dan, it's because you're Norwegian and you love the Maelstrom, which is true, which is all true. I'm going to say this. First of all, I am not a Frozen hater. I actually really, really enjoyed the movie. When the movie came out and I heard that it was going to be based off of Norway, I was very excited. And, it's this a true story. A lot of the names in that movie are names of my family members. That's just a funny true story. But the attraction itself, I don't know. I mean, okay, Let It Go is cool. The face things are a little creepy to me. The faces on them, and the attraction is just not good in my opinion. I'm not a fan of the attraction. What do you guys think?
I think
Dan,
I'm going to call you from the ride.
What's that, Jeff?
I think I'm going to call you from the ride and be like, Dan, guess where I am?
No, I agree with you 100%, Dan. The only thing I don't agree with you is that the faces are a little creepy. I kind of like the technology they did with the faces.
All right. So the first couple times I went on it, I was like, wow, this is great technology. Awesome. But the more I go on the ride and I stare at their faces, the more I get a little creeped out, to be honest.
Speaking of the faces, what actually I found very funny was we went on it, and when we were passing at the end where Anna and Christoph was singing, Christoph didn't have a mouth. So his
Right.
eyes were, he literally didn't have no mouth. It was
I've heard about that. Yeah.
So it kind of took the appeal away.
Talk about creepy.
Yeah. And I think Maelstrom was a more fun ride as well.
Man,
and I'm not Norwegian.
Sorry, Stan. Maybe that's Anna's perfect man right there. One who can't speak.
Anyone know why they're named? Anyone know why she's named Anna, and he's named Christoph?
Because that's your aunt and uncle's name.
No, close though. It's based off a Hans Christian Andersen story, and it's Hans, Christoph, Anna, Sven.
Wow.
Kind of sounds like Hans Christian Andersen.
Never realized that before.
Learn something new every day on this podcast, folks.
Yeah, we should do it every day.
Our Mr. Philosopher over here probably picked that up while he was sitting at the beach.
Had a lot of time to think about this.
No, that's actually cool. No, I didn't know that. So I'm
didn't know that either.
Coming down to me, I love this attraction. It's nothing per se to say that I don't really like it, but I like to make it a point to where I could at least go on it once. But I just feel that the hype and the wait for this ride is completely overrated, to say the least. And I have to go to the Magic Kingdom for the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, George.
I love this ride, but first of all, it's too short. It needs to have a little bit more length, because it's by the time you get out of the mine, you go down the hill and then you swing a couple times and then you come to the cottage and boom, it's done. So to wait in a 120-minute line for that ride, it's, for me, as I said, it's a great ride. I do love it, but there's other things that I would rather be doing than wait in line for Seven Dwarfs.
So, George, you going to hold my backpack while I ride the ride?
Oh, no, I'm going on the ride.
Oh, shucks.
I agree with you completely, George. I've done it a couple of times. It's one of the very few roller coasters I'm brave enough to actually attempt, if you want to call it a roller coaster. But, yeah, no, the line, if it's a long line, there's no way in the world I'm doing it.
And again, that's another one that I would prefer to have a fast pass. The only time that I've rode the mine train without the fast pass is I got there at rope drop. And that was, I beelined it to Fantasyland, and I was on in about 15 minutes. And then by the time I got off the ride, the line had already surpassed an hour.
Yeah, that line goes quick. I've ridden it twice, and both times it was no line. I think it was raining one time, and I can't remember what the other reason was. Oh, I had a fast pass for it the other time. But yeah, and it doesn't even thrill me. Like, it's not something that I enjoy even. The only part I like is the ending when you go through the cottage, and the mine. The mine itself is cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Jay, back to you. What's your number 2?
I am gonna get
Mr. Dr. Seuss.
what?
I just made a rhyme.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. Number 2 on my list is the Hall of Presidents.
Ooh.
Because it's so boring. I want to go play at the Magic Kingdom. I want to run and have fun. I don't want to sit there and get a history lesson.
But would you consider that being overrated? Does it get packed? Because the last time I went in, there was like nobody in there.
Yeah, there's never a line for it.
I don't know. I people say it's awesome. It's great. You have to do this, and I walk by like, no, I don't.
I like it
one time was enough for me. I don't need to see it every single time.
You know, and here's the thing with Hall of Presidents for me. It doesn't matter who's speaking, Republican, Democrat. When I go on vacation there, and George, you're going to find this out, there's 2 topics that are forbidden. Work and politics. And if I go to the Magic Kingdom, and if I have to sit there, and I don't care what president it is, talk, you just took me out of my vacation.
See, I get it that we have a lot of political back and forths now with the show, and that's kind of why I've been avoiding it the last couple of years. But there's a sense of, like, I don't know, national pride when you go into it a little bit. And let me ask you another question, Jay. Have you gone to what's the show in the American Pavilion?
Oh, American Adventure is awesome. I will do that every time.
I would prefer that one over the Hall of Presidents. I love the American Adventure.
I will do that every time. I love that one.
I got to be honest with you guys. I disagree. I think that is so boring. I don't know what it is. I can't stay awake in that show.
Dude, I'm the opposite, Dan. If I sit in the Hall of Presidents, you're going to hear how loud I snore.
Well, I think you could sleep in both of them, to be honest. But I do make it a point to try to go into Hall of Presidents as much. Like I said, I haven't really been in there much lately, but usually it's on my list.
To just because if they had done what they were going to do when Disney's America had opened, they were going to take that attraction and ship it to Disney's America and replace it with a different ride.
Right.
I still want them to make up for Mr. Toad by ripping that out and putting in a Ichabod Crane ride.
Ooh, it's not a bad idea.
All right, Stan, coming to you at number 2. Oh, man, I'm really on a roll with this rhyming thing.
Okay, I got to cross Seven Dwarfs Mine Train off my list because I did have it on my list. I have to cross Frozen off my list because I did have it on my list.
Wow.
So I'm going to head down to Animal Kingdom. And again, this is another attraction I really, really enjoy. But the line in it is so long, and it's so long for one reason only, and that's because of its next-door neighbor attraction, is the Nahi River Journey. And I think it has the same problems that Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has, and it's just too short for how long the line is. If it was a bit more longer, we'd probably enjoy it more. If it wasn't next to Flight of Passage, it would probably not have such a big line. But in any event, I do really enjoy the attraction. It's just far too short, and it's overrated for what it is. You know, fast passes go immediately for it as well.
I agree with you, and I'll tell you why. I have to actually admit I've never been on the ride for that purpose.
Wow.
Because I would rather take the fast pass or the time waiting in line for Flight of Passage than to sacrifice that ride to do the Navi River Journey. Because I watched videos on YouTube, and it's nice if we ever had, downtime and the line wasn't as long as it is now. But other than the animatronic at the end, that actually nothing really appealed to me as far as the ride itself. I mean, I can't really fully judge that because I haven't been on it, but I mean, am I missing anything? Like as far as like the ride itself goes?
It is a very beautiful, very relaxing attraction, but far, far too short.
But as far as being on the overrated list, I have not heard one person come off that ride and talk about it. Yeah. People talk about Flight of Passage. They talk about the land itself. Yeah. No one ever talks about that ride.
I think it gets talked about, but more so because it's next door to its big brother than it is. Like if it was, say, in Dino Land, you definitely wouldn't hear anybody talk about it.
I mean, I've heard that the
shaman
shaman at the end, the animatronic, not being shaman, they said that animatronic is very cool to look at.
And when we did our top animatronics, that was definitely on my list for top animatronic.
Yeah, but I definitely agree with you on that. As I said, for that purpose, that's why I've never been on it yet. All right, Dan, coming to you.
All right, so before I say this one, I will say that I'm not like Stan, and I do not get motion sickness very easily. I go on all the drops, all the spinners, all the twists. I go on all of them. But my next one, I'm going to Epcot, and I'm going to put this in my category because I have seen way too many people go on this attraction and literally ruin their entire day after going on it, and I'm talking about Mission Space. Whether it's orange or green or purple or whatever other color you want to call it.
Which is the colors I become when I go on it.
In my opinion, an attraction is not supposed to ruin the rest of your vacation. And that's what this attraction does. And I've given it a couple of tries. And every time I go on it, I cannot handle myself at the end of the day. And it's not just me. I've seen so many people that have said the same thing about this attraction. And to be quite honest, all it is, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever been to a carnival in your hometown. They have this thing called the Gravitron, where you like kind of stick to the walls. That's all it is with some, they pretty it up a little bit and you press some buttons.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the attraction goes, like when it first opened, it was one of the most, still it's very intense, but I mean, it was so popular when it first opened. Mm-hmm. And even people still today stand in line, but for me, it just seemed like it lost some of its lackluster as the years go on. And I thought for sure that would have been an attraction that would have been taken out. But now that they're actually adding a space restaurant, I don't know how.
Mm-hmm. Am I the only person who permanently hates that ride because how dare it stand where Horizons once stood?
How dare you stand where he stood?
I would have rather kept Horizons.
You know, the thing,
one time, and it was not that I didn't get sick because I could handle a lot, but it didn't appeal to me.
The thing is that the technology was not anything new. This has been around forever. I used to go on this ride when I was a kid at a local amusement park up by my house. They just like I said, they just prettied it up, but it's not like some crazy new technology. So when they first built it, I was like, that's all this is?
And after the launch, you don't really feel anything.
Right.
The main thrill, so to speak, is just the launch itself.
Right.
So you're pretty much waiting in line for like a 5-second suction.
I don't know very much about this attraction because I've obviously never been on it. I've been in the building once, and that was it, in the gift shop. Dan, what is the green side then? If the orange side is the Spinatron.
It's the same thing. It's just that it doesn't spin as fast.
Oh, so it still spins but slower.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you're basically, honestly, the green side is you're staring at just a screen and just pressing the buttons without really too much of the movement.
I think the spin is like just enough so that you feel some movement, but it's not like you're getting sucked backwards.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stay away.
All right, and now coming to me for my number 2, this is one that I think Jay would appreciate. I do enjoy this ride, I really do, but I think as far as the line goes, and it has to be the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Wow.
What?
Yep.
I think honestly, this ride is completely overrated to the fact of, again, of how I said I still enjoy it, but I'm just based on how long the lines are, and then with the queue that everyone touches, and it's I could imagine if they were to get a health inspector in there and they were to do a couple of swabs of what's actually on.
That's the best part of the attraction is watching the kids playing.
It's
and
like the
trying to
Wonka
taste
effect.
everything.
Balls are lickable.
My 7-year-old loves that queue. He loves the queue more than he loves the ride.
Yeah, and the queue I think is actually better than the attraction. I'd like to tell kids, you don't let that wall taste like honey, and the dad gives me a dirty look. Yeah, I'm that guy.
I mean, what do you guys think as far as as I said, it's not a bad ride. I still enjoy it. I'll still go on it, but I'm not going to make a day out of it to say, like, I'm going to go from this part of the park over here just to go on Winnie the Pooh.
Just like with Mission Space and Horizons, how dare you stand where they once stood?
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
In 2000?
I like the attraction. I understand the need for it. I'm going to talk about another attraction in a second where I feel like there should be a better attraction for this particular IP. So I know that you have to have something for Winnie the Pooh there. It's just what it is, in my opinion. We go on it, but I guess I could miss it if I wanted to.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. I don't think we're the audience for it, though.
Right.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I still love Winnie the Pooh. I love the stories. I love the characters. And as I said, it is a very nice ride. As I said, if we had nothing really to do and we needed a fill-in and the line wasn't really long.
How dare you stand where Toad and the Country Bears once stood? Get out and bring them back.
Passengers, for all of you who don't know already, but Jay thinks Pooh is Pooh. So
with the heat of 1,000 white hot suns, I hate Pooh for what it replaced on both coasts.
Both coasts, yeah.
You can give me the no finger all you want, Jessica. Pooh is Pooh. It's in the name.
He's named after my home city, eh?
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of going off the subject.
Cute and adorable.
Kind of going off the subject, passengers, while we're on the subject of Winnie the Pooh. This really has nothing to do with it, but I thought I'd throw it out there. That is actually a pet name that my wife calls me. She calls me her hot, steamy pile of poo.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's a little bit TMI.
Oh, please, tell the audience why you're called that.
But, of course, a lot of people think it means something else, but she means, no, I'm her Pooh Bear. So I'm her hot, steamy
pile of Pooh Bear?
Pile of Pooh Bear. Yes. Yeah, okay.
Yes. When was Pooh Bear ever hot and steamy?
You got stuck in that tree, I guess.
We have to stop now. Or
when he moved to Orlando, everything's hot and steamy in there.
Oh my goodness. Woo. All right, next.
I just had to throw that out there. Okay, so now coming up, our final out of the top three, Jay. I still can't believe you can't see that attraction.
I fell asleep.
Hers is the Carousel of Progress. Don't ask me why.
I used to like you, Jessica. Go away.
I know, right? Get off this episode.
I fell asleep. It was too long. And my belly was full of food.
This is why you're not coming with us.
I also have to work, smartass.
I know, I'm just kidding. So I'm torn between my number one. It's between a restaurant and another ride. Which one do you guys want to hear?
Well, save one for an honorable mention. Save the restaurant for an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Let's keep
I do want to hear the restaurant. Do that.
I kind of have one that's honorable mention that's not an attraction as well.
Okay, I agree.
So I'm going to do the restaurant, and that is Les Cellier Steakhouse. It is so overrated. Why pay those prices when you can easily walk over to the yacht club and eat at the Yachtsman Steakhouse, where the food is like 10 times more delicious outside the theme park?
Well, Disney will never admit it, but I'm convinced. Like, there's a Canadian chain called the Keg, a steakhouse chain that's very similar themed to the steakhouse in Canada, the Pavilion.
Les Cellier is nice, but you can do better literally within walking distance at the yacht club.
Well, and that's what I'm going to say. Like, I'm walking distance to one of these kegs in Winnipeg, and it's half the price of what it is at Epcot.
Yeah, I bet.
So I kind of have to agree with you in that regard.
It'd probably be better.
Yeah.
Well, the Cellier is awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a great restaurant. The food there is you're not going to get. It's one of the top 2 steaks on property, I would think.
Next to the Osman Steakhouse, which is, I'm sorry, way better for.
Oh, I've never done the Osman, but I have done the Cellier.
My favorite steak, honestly, was at California Grill, hands down.
It is to die for.
And
it melts in your mouth like butter.
Yeah.
I totally just robbed this show.
We should get some funding and do the best steaks in Disney World, and all go in for steak at every steak restaurant.
I see an upcoming challenge. How many steaks can we eat to find the best one?
At Ohana, the steaks that are on the skewers are amazing.
That's one of my favorites too.
That's one of my favorite. Yeah, that ranks up there as well.
Never been there.
That's one of my favorites.
See what happens when we start talking about food? We all start.
I haven't had dinner yet, so
I didn't have dinner yet either. Yeah, so thanks, Jay.
I had celery with peanut butter. I'm good.
Oh, you should treat yourself now and go get some poutine to make up for it.
Did you bring enough for the whole class?
You want some?
Yes, actually, I'm starving.
I'll eat it in front of you and enjoy it for the both of us.
I'm going to turn off your camera from here.
All right, Stan, what's your last overrated?
Okay, this one is going to be a go with me here. Because at the beginning, I said that I'm not going to do anything that spins, drops, fast, or I can add to it virtual. There is one that I have done that I probably shouldn't have done. And this is kind of in the same vein that Dan was saying, and it can ruin your vacation if you're not, able to do this attraction. And as much as I love Star Wars, it's like my number one IP. Star Tours, I'm telling you, they could fix this and make it my favorite attraction very easily. Disney is great at, if you have a disability, they'll make a special boat for you at Small World, so you can bring your wheelchair on Small World, which is amazing that Disney does this. They anytime they can accommodate anybody with any disability, they'll gladly do it. And I think that's kind of why the green portion came out with the Mission Space, because people were getting sick on the orange ride, so they created this green ride. Can they not do a Star Tours that doesn't move? So that people like myself can actually get on the attraction and enjoy it. And the virtual movement would be more than enough for me to enjoy it without actually spoiling the rest of my day. Come on, Disney. Make a non-moving Star Tours shuttle for people like myself.
Just like with Mission Space, you would prefer like a green version of Star Tours.
Yes, exactly.
Are you talking about one that's locked down that doesn't move at all? So you're just
yes, exactly. Yeah, and just the virtual movement of the screen would be enough movement for somebody like myself to enjoy it without getting sick. And if I am feeling nauseous coming up, I can close my eyes and the sensation will go away. Whereas when I ride Star Tours and I close my eyes, I'm still bouncing around. I'm still feeling it. And I can't do it. As much as I would love to see I would spend all day riding Star Tours over and over again, but I can't. And because of that, for me, it's overrated. Done. Pencil.
So I'm assuming that would be now the same for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Are you still going to try that?
I'm going to try it. Call me. I'm still on the fence about trying that. Jeez, I don't know.
Do it once, because you may find you can ride that one every time and it will be your favorite thing ever.
Yeah,
you know what?
Stan, you're too much of a Star Wars fan not to try.
Well, that's just it. You got to be able to like one Star Wars ride.
And I had the same apprehension with doing Soaring and doing Flight of Passage, where I was nervous as heck. And after I rode Soaring, at least with Soaring, I can close my eyes and the sensation went away. And the first time I rode Soaring, I saw 10% of it, and the 10% that I saw, I really enjoyed it. Now it's one of my favorite attractions. I can watch the entire screen without blinking, and I really, really enjoy Soaring. Same thing with Flight of Passage. I've ridden it enough times now that I'm used to it and I can handle it. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen with me with Millennium Falcon and Smuggler's Run. But for Star Tours, I know I'll never get over that sensation.
Yeah.
More than anybody I've ever known, you need to be able to fly the Falcon.
Yes.
Definitely.
That is true. even if we have to build our own, you'll be able to make one.
We have to.
Do you think I don't have one getting half built already in the backyard?
All right, and Dan, coming to you.
All right, I'm gonna really cheat on this one a little bit, okay? Because I'm gonna give a category as my overrated attraction, but then I'm gonna have 3 specific in that category, okay? So I know it's cheating.
You're gonna get all fancy on us.
I mean, no, it's not really fancy, but it's just another way to get more airtime, I guess. Because that's what I'm all about. So. So I'm gonna go with spinner rides in general, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna go with 3 of them in particular. I'm gonna start with Triceratops spin. Triceratops spin? How do you say that? I don't even know. Triceratops. Yeah, spin, whatever it is. And I'm gonna start with that one because that is one of my son's favorites for some reason, and we always have to go on it. All right, so we all know what spinners are, right? They go up, they go down, they spin around. There's not much to them. Next one I'm going to go with is Magic Carpets of Aladdin. And my real issue with this is that I said it earlier in the show, that Aladdin needs a better attraction than just a simple spinner ride.
Yes.
It's too much of a Disney mainstay to just have this tiny little attraction that, to be honest with you, most people don't even... If it didn't have the word Aladdin in it, most people wouldn't even know that that's what it was, right?
And the location of where it's at, it's a horrible location.
I mean, and what's the best part of it, to be honest?
Getting spit by the camel.
Exactly, right? So a spitting camel is the best part of this attraction.
It does add a little bit of movement to the area.
You go like back and forth or something like that.
No,
right?
I mean, like as you're walking through, it kind of creates some hustle and bustle in that this thing is spinning around as you're walking by it.
Yeah,
and kind of like there's no monorail, there's no train or anything like that in Adventureland, so you kind of
right. That is true. That is true. I mean, you know what it is? There's space right there, and Disney's not going to just leave wide open space around, so you have to have something there. And it's about the same, perfect size for a spinner ride, so that's what they did.
Yeah, but I agree with you. To have it as far as like with the magic carpets. I mean, Aladdin is one of my favorite Disney animated movies. I have multiple, but Aladdin is one of them. And
George has 280 of them, by the
way. But yeah, to utilize a ride system for the magic carpets, they could have done something so much better than a spinner ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I have one last spinner ride, and this one will probably get me killed out on the street. But
Dumbo? Is it Dumbo?
It's Dumbo.
What about Astro Orbiter?
And Astro Orbiter. I could say them all, but I just picked 3 of them.
I'm leaving that one out. that one's up high. It doesn't bother me.
But I think Dumbo, in my opinion, is the most overrated attraction in all of Disney World, and I'll try to explain why.
Hang on. Are you talking about the Dumbo that goes left or the Dumbo that goes right?
They've done a better job with the way that it looks. I love at nighttime with the water. I think it's beautiful. It's really, really nice. But if you talk to someone that is not a Disney geek like us and you say, hey, list some rides at Disney or what's Disney known for? What's the most iconic ride? A lot of them are going to say Dumbo, I would think. And all it is a spinner ride. And I think that's what sometimes Disney gets a little bad rep for, of being, it's a kiddie park, Why are you going to Disney World? Isn't that just for kids? I think that in some way they have that Dumbo attraction in the back of their mind, and they don't realize that Disney's a lot more than just a spinner ride of Dumbo. Mic drop right there.
I agree with that notion, definitely, because that was one of my honorable mentions, but Dumbo in particular. I think, honestly, that I could be okay with still having Dumbo if they were to honestly take out the Astro Orbiter, the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, and Triceratops Spin. I really honestly do not think that you need all those spinner rides.
I'm not saying that I don't. I go on it every single time I'm in Disney. I do.
But it's overrated.
But every time I'm on it, I'm like, why am I on this? Like, what am I doing here? It's just more for the nostalgia than anything.
I I'll even give it to even keep Triceratops Spin because that's an Animal Kingdom. But to have 3 spinner rides at Magic Kingdom, to me, I think is a little bit overkill.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, for my final top 3 overrated attractions at a Disney park is at Hollywood Studios. And I do love this ride. I love the ride system. But I think the theme really needs to go bye-byes. And I think it's just completely overrated, but yet I think it is so outdated. And it's Rock and Roller Coaster.
Wow.
I love the ride. I love the ride system. But I think it is completely outdated to where it's completely overrated. Where, I mean, nothing. I do love some of their songs, but I mean, most kids nowadays that go into the park, they're going to say, "What's an Aerosmith?"
All right, so I'm going to jump to your defense because that was on my list. Had Disney paid the money for the Rolling Stones, it would still be a great ride. But having just done it, wow, is it dated with Aerosmith, who, like I said, always been a C-list band.
So let me ask you guys a question. If they just change the band to something more current, would it change your opinion on the attraction? Is it just the music, or is it the attraction itself?
I think for me,
like a brand new theming with a different, not even music, like something different altogether.
That's what I'm saying. I think if they were to change it to where they were supposed to retheme for Monsters Inc. or The Incredibles, I may have like a different viewpoint on it. But I just think for Aerosmith being in a Disney park, it's completely outdated, and for it to still have a really long line, if I'm not having a fast pass or a single rider line, I'm not waiting in line to ride it.
Disney's just going to tie it to an IP anyway. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's my thing. I'd prefer it to not have an IP attached to it, because I think there's so many IP attractions already in the parks.
Now, with it being just a coaster, so without having it as an IP, would you just rather just have it as a coaster? I mean, I know you wouldn't ride it anyway because of
I'm not going to go on. Well, could they make like, well, I guess because it's a coaster, like a Candyland thing type of thing wouldn't work. But I'm not imagining you by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm kind of they're leaning too heavily on IPs in my opinion. I'd like to see a more, I don't know, going through the jungle type of thing or something.
We all want IP-free attractions, but it's not going to happen.
Exactly. No, it's not going to happen. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was became the Incredicoaster East Coast.
That's what I think is going to happen, because it would be such an easier transition for money-wise that they would just literally just throw the Incredibles in there.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess we'll find out next weekend if they're going to do anything with it.
It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me, because I think as far as like with all the IPs and everything, Aerosmith is on its last leg, I think. But we shall see. And before we go, passengers, I just have to, did anyone else have any honorable mentions on your list? Jay?
Finding Nemo submarines at Disneyland. Its time is up. It's time to go. It's boring. Like most of Tomorrowland now, I would actually say all of Tomorrowland at Disneyland is overrated, and it's time for an all-new one.
I've only done it once, and I fell asleep.
So much hate mail
the entire thing. So I can't really judge
all
on that
hate
one.
mail to Stan. He's going to take that for us this week.
I'll be out of town. So.
Said it's a small world.
Small World is not overrated by any means. I'm sorry. I'll fight you bare knuckle.
Fighting words, young lady.
Horrible.
No, coming actually from
I had It's Small World on my list. That's why I'm putting it on there.
Depending on what comes after it, we may or may not have to have a talk.
Now, coming from our son, that dislikes the song, but and this is coming from him, he can handle the song. He doesn't like the slow boat ride because he's like his dad and he's a thrill junkie. So
he gets bored.
Yeah. He likes stuff with fast movement.
He literally wants to go skydiving and bungee jumping.
44 days, dude, and I will make you do Small World.
Talk about good places to take a nap. That's where I take my nap.
The Muppets is a great place to take a nap, Dan. You've got it all wrong.
Greatest nap in
The Muppets at least is funny.
God, I can't wait to see the messages we're gonna get on this one.
I'm glad Jess said Small World because I have 3 on here that I'm just scared to say, to be honest. Small World was one of them. The other 2, there's really no reason whatsoever except the fact that I just don't like them. I don't know why. I just don't. And that is Fantasmic. I'm just not a fan. Wow. I know you guys are all looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'd much rather go see Happily Ever After. I mean, if you had to see one nighttime show, are you going to see Fantasmic?
At Disneyland?
Yeah.
Well, Disneyland, yeah. But
right. I'm talking about Disney World because I haven't seen the one at Disneyland, to be honest.
And the way they set it up at Hollywood Studios now, or at least the last time I went, you kind of have a choice between Fantasmic or the Star Wars fireworks. Or if you're like me, you push everybody over and run to the next one to try to catch them both. But between the 2 of them, the Star Wars one is better.
Yeah, I can't even find my last one. It was here somewhere, but I don't even know what it is, so I'll end with that one.
I had only one honorable mention left, and it's not really an attraction, but my wife came up with this one, but she feels it's completely overrated. And I think it's more and more people are agreeing that the turkey leg is overrated. It's something that is such iconic thing that kind of used to be for Disney World. I think it's kind of losing its iconicy, if that's a word.
They better not get rid of it. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's funny, Stan. I had Crazy Shakes on my list, so I'm totally with you on turkey legs.
Crazy Shakes?
Those giant shakes now where they put a piece of cake and a tire and a kitchen sink on top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
$15
That's another
milkshakes full of sugar that that's the last thing I want on a hot day.
So you can take a picture of it and put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have they have those shakes at my movie theater now when they like deliver them to your seat. So I was at the movies a couple weeks ago, but they don't tell you they're Crazy Shakes. I just got a vanilla milkshake, and then I went to drink it, and there's an ice cream sundae in it. An ice cream sandwich in it. I almost choked on it. Like, what is this? It's dark. Yeah, I'm like, what's going on?
Gummy worm stuck to the side. Why am I supposed to eat this?
I'm like, I just want a vanilla shake. I don't want all this stuff.
Oh man!
Well,
I'd be horrible to eat in the theater.
On that note, passengers, after Dan almost choked on an ice cream sandwich, I think it's safe to say that this Grand Circle Tour adventure is coming to an end. And if any of you passengers have any negative thoughts on our choices, you can just send it to Caroline and Mindy because it is their fault for leaving us guys together to record an episode.
There you go.
So before
if you agree with us, or if you have any of your own, send them in as well.
Oh yeah, let's put a post on Facebook and see if we can get some passengers' opinions on this.
And
I think
if you're mad at our
hot
answer,
topic.
If you're mad at our answer, send that to Stan. He will respond for us.
Why me? I'm here. Pick Mindy and Caroline.
Because you're the nice one.
Stan's the nice one. We definitely know George isn't the nice one.
Yeah, they got a little taste of it, passengers, from earlier before we recorded. But before we go, Jay,
stick around after Ken. You may hear that rant.
Yeah. All right, and passengers, that'll be it for this week. And Ken, take it away.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tour Magical Ticket Holders. While on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tour. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tour Podcast, as well as Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to send us a message, you can email us at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.
Mac, Mac,